Welcome to The Big Interview. I'm Alan Murray, and I'm here with Mark Cuban, a successful entrepreneur, owner of the Dallas Mavericks.
Right. NBA champion Dallas Mavericks.
I'm sorry, we were hoping you would bring the trophy and set it on the table here.
Next time.
Also a reality TV star, also a hyperactive blogger. I don't know which of those, I mean, how do you describe yourself?
Oh, just an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneur.
Yep.
Well, so then as an entrepreneur, let me talk to you a little bit about what the news we've been living with for the last couple of weeks, because the markets have been going through these wild gyrations. Right. Don't seem to have a clear sense of what direction is up. How do you interpret that as somebody who's spent a lot of time playing the market?
Well, put on my, manage the portfolio trader hat, and not so much a trader, but manage the portfolio. It's great. Anytime there's volatility and any time there's change, there's opportunity. Now, I say it's great because I've taken a whole different approach to investing than most people. I think buy and hold's a crock of shit. I think, the idea that you always have to invest your cash is not far behind. And so I've always been of the attitude that unless you really have a commitment to something, just keep your money in cash, knowing that at some point in time, there's going to be a week or two like we've had.
But how much time, I mean, you've got a lot going on in your life. How much time do you have to actively manage your portfolio through these 500-point market swings?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. I don't have to spend much time until it hits the fan, right? So I did
a lot of hitting the fan this week.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's where the opportunity is. Like, I wouldn't look at my portfolio, or I get a one-line, one-number statement every day from my bank, and that tells me if anything weird happened, and I wouldn't even look at it. But then when everything starts getting crazy, I call it the World Series of investing. That's when you start digging in, and it's because of the approach that I take. So back in 2006 and 2007, I was writing blogs saying, look, the stock market's for suckers. You're getting put, when you sit down at the business table, you always look for the sucker, and if you don't see it, it's you. And you've got all these professional people on the other side of the trades. I mean, when I started trading stocks in the early 90s after I sold my first company, you could understand different elements of the market better than the professionals. So I can understand, new technology from Wellfleet and Synoptics and all these old technology companies better than the traders. Today, there's so much money in these huge hedge funds, and then they have such professional research and in-depth research, there really aren't any advantages for the individual traders. And so my approach has always been, unless I know something specific, put it in cash. And so
what are you investing in? What are the areas that you feel you know?
What I did in 2008 and 2009, I put everything into MLPs and MREITs, mortgage-backed securities, ones that I thought were the better companies, and I just piled in. And I also piled into Australian bonds because I thought the economy was good next to China. It was my way of playing China.
So you make one-way bets. This isn't portfolio balancing you're talking about.
No, all that asset management, diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing, right? I mean, I did my homework on Australia, right? I did my homework on the MREITs. I did my homework on MLPs, and their pricing had just gotten crushed.
So what are you doing right now?
So what I did right now, I'd been going all the dividends and everything. I just put into cash, and so I don't think stocks have fallen enough to just to say any particular stocks are cheap. Right, so when I looked at the MLPs in 2008 and 9, they were paying 18, 19% for companies that had never missed a payment, right? Had always put out all their cash, and they looked dirt cheap. Now, you look at good companies, Apple hasn't fallen that much, and just to be down 10, 15% from their highs, they're still not as low as they were 18 months ago. And so what I did was, I said, there's going to be a lot of volatility. So I bought, took a little bit of money and bought out of the money calls on the spider calls I bought on the Standards & Poor's, the SP 500, and then I did the same thing on the diamonds, which is the Dow Jones. So I bought those long when the stock prices cratered, and then when we had the big, not today, but the big run up before, I bought a bunch of puts, knowing that even though I was paying for a lot of volatility, that I thought there would be a lot of swings in the market. And so you're
just betting on volatility.
I'm just betting on volatility.
And how long is that going to last, in your view?
No idea. And that's the whole thing, right? People aren't buying intrinsic value in companies anymore. The whole Warren Buffett approach works great for Warren because he can put $3 billion into an investment and take a whole different approach than John or Sally Doe investor who can't do that.
Yeah, but so you say buy and hold is a crock of something.
Right.
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, Shinola, yeah.
And you said that portfolio balancing is a waste of time. So what are John and Sally Doe supposed to do?
Depends how much money you have. Right? So the best way to get a return, let's just say you have $50,000 in cash. It could be 10, it could be 100. But let's use 50. First thing I would do is pay off all your credit cards because that's costing you 18%. That's what John and Sally should do first. Most don't, right? There's more credit card and student loan debt relative to personal income than there's ever been in the history of the United States. Second thing you do is you use the transactional value of cash. A lot of people say, you're losing money to inflation when you just have cash in the bank. I completely disagree. I know I'm going to be buying a bunch of toothpaste for my family. I know toilet paper. I know all the consumables that I have. I can take my cash and go get a better value. I can take my cash and go buy service.
Store up?
Yeah. Yeah, why not? I mean, how much space does toothpaste take, but you're going to spend. But that's the whole thing. The time it takes just to figure out your budget, which nobody does. The time it takes just to analyze your spending habits, you can get a better return and you'll end up with more cash than trying to fight the John Paulsons of the world and these guys who have hundreds of analysts who are working for them. Why would you try to do better than them?
You can't win.
You can't. And now it's 100 times worse because of all the program trading.
But if you have enough money that you have to put some of it somewhere, to park some of it somewhere and hope to make a return on it, where do you put it?
What I do, I don't think you have to make a return on it because I'd rather sleep well at night. I put it in cash, literally. Now, obviously, I'm in a different position where I don't have to live off of the interest paying me 1 basis point off of cash, right? But at the same time, having that dry powder, if you will, available when weeks like today or weeks like this week hit and days like yesterday and today
and
happen,
you see an opportunity.
And you see an opportunity, then you're ready to take it as opposed to saying, I can't get out, what am I going to do? And I'll tell you the other part that's better, you're going to cut your health costs because you're going to sleep a whole lot better at night.
Do you sleep well?
Oh, I sleep like a baby.
But did you sleep like a baby before the championship?
No,
or is that only
no.
after
I gained
the
about 15 pounds, and it was brutal.
Well, I've been reading your blog. You've been writing a lot lately about what it's going to take to get the U.S. economy back on track. Can you share your ideas?
Well, my next blog I think is going to be about the law of big numbers. Right? We have a challenge in the United States where we don't have anybody in government who can think big enough to impact trillions of anything. Right? Historically, we're used to, 100 million here, 100 million there, pretty soon it all heads up and has an impact. But when you're dealing with 10 and 14 trillion dollar deficits, there's nothing they can come up with that's really going to have an impact. But you have to look at the blocking and tackling anyways. I wrote a blog saying that we need to get rid of business method process patents and software patents.
You're worried about patent trolls and
the patent trolls are killing business. In my own business, there's always one coming up for ridiculous things that the patent office granted a patent, and you can challenge it and you can fight it, but it's very expensive.
Do you really think that has a big effect on job creation?
Huge. And I'll tell you why. Because for any, particularly technology businesses or any industrial technology business now, there's unlimited uncertainty. You always hear people talking about the government, about the uncertainty of what's going to change, right? Well, with patent laws right now, there's so much litigation now that all my companies are getting hit, not once every 6 years, once or twice a year. And you don't know where it's coming from, and you don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't know how much it's going to cost you to defend, and you don't even know if you're going to end up taking a big hit.
So it makes you more cautious.
You have to be far more cautious, and you're paying more in insurance, increasing insurance rates than even healthcare costs.
But you also, I think that's an interesting proposal. You wrote another column with a proposal that was much further out there, where you were suggesting that the government actually invest money in companies that will create jobs.
Right now, when we talk about positioning or approach to creating jobs, we look at tax policy. right? And the conventional wisdom says that from the Democratic side, they said if you spend a lot, the old Keynesian thing, if you spend a lot, you can create jobs. The problem there, and you can hire people, infrastructure, whatever. The problem is the government's very inefficient at implementing that. So even though, for every dollar you're trying to create jobs with, you're only 70 cents, 75 cents is actually going to the infrastructure, and less than that's going to the job, right? And then you don't even know if jobs are actually being created. On the Republican side, they say just cut taxes, that money will go into, end up creating jobs, when in reality, cash is not an inhibitor for most companies, and there's nothing that's historically that says that if you cut taxes, more jobs will be created, at least not with direct correlations, right? What I said was, look, rather than hoping something happens, let's let's ask for volunteers. Basically saying if you have a company, and not a startup, but a company that's been in business 10 years, has, I picked an arbitrary number, 100 million in sales, so you're a definable, easy to do due diligence on company. Tell us if you need money to create jobs, and we'll let you kind of bid in a Groupon type way on basically saying, you know what, for X amount of dollars, I can create X number of jobs. And then we'll just work our way down the bids. So if Alan's company comes in and says, you know what, for $12 million, I can create 100 jobs.
But do you really think the government can pull that off?
Well, I don't think the government itself. I think somebody outside of government. That's why I went on to say it's going to take a committee of nonpartisan people that have no, it's going to be difficult to do, but because it's a completely different approach, you can take it outside the government, I think, and have it government funded from there. And the reason I said you can
still have the government essentially picking winners.
Well, yes,
it's venture capital. I mean,
well, in some respects, it is venture capital, but compare it to what we're doing right now. Right now, it's just scattershot and praying, right? We changed tax policy. Two sides don't even agree what tax policy should be, and we just pray, right? We hope something happens. What I'm saying is, if you have an existing company and you're here to say that you're capital constrained, and with capital you can create jobs, tell us about it, right? And we'll be able to do it. It accomplishes the same thing.
What was the response you got when you wrote that pretty far out there
Run for president, run for president, run for president.
You thinking of that?
No. And then on the other side was, it's the government. It'll never happen.
But would you ever run for office?
Oh, hell no. Are you kidding me?
There does seem to be a leadership gap at the moment.
No question. No question. But I could hear the questions now.
You.
Did you ever? Yes, about a dozen times, and I liked it. So it just.
Let's turn to sports, basketball. I know you love your trophy. It's got to pain you. The lockout has to pain you.
You know what? I can't even go there at all. I can't.
Why is that?
It's just
because the commissioner told you to talk about.
It's just better not to comment on it.
Because you are famous for talking about things you shouldn't be talking about.
I know. Pick something else. I'll get really off the wall.
Well, what topic? What topic that you shouldn't be talking about?
I'm talking about politics. Like next to sports, right? Politics is even worse, right?
But let me ask you. The lockout aside, do you own the Mavericks as a business investment? I mean, do you actually make money off of the Mavericks?
I can't go there. I can't go there. I wish I could.
You can't go there at all?
No.
But have you made money over the time you've owned it?
I can't go there at all, Alan.
Do you do sports as an investment?
I didn't inhale, and
I thought you said earlier you did inhale.
It was during college.
You're not going to talk about basketball?
I can't at all.
Basketball at all?
Not at all. I wish I could.
How about baseball? You've been playing around in that area.
Yeah, I mean, for baseball, it's got to be the right deal. I mean, basketball was something where I just have been a basketball junkie my entire life.
So you did it for love of the sport?
Yes.
And for baseball, you would do it if it's an investment?
I like baseball. I mean, I was a better baseball player than basketball player in school. But at the same time, to buy a franchise in a major market has gotten so expensive. It has to be the right business deal. I think what we're finding out in other sports, like the Cubs, I think the folks who bought it are great people. They're gonna do their best, but they spent so much money on the franchise, they have nothing left to invest in it, and you've got to be careful of that.
Yeah. Do you think that opportunity is going to come?
I don't know. I don't know. And I'll look at whatever comes along. I'm happy to look at.
You've spent some time looking at college sports as well.
Yeah, nothing's really coming. We're still working. I've got some people working on it. Hopefully, we're looking to have something to present in the middle of September. So I've got people working full time on that.
So you made your first billions, I guess, in the last bubble.
Right.
1998 you sold your company?
No, I sold it in 2000, actually.
You sold it in 2000, so right at the peak of the bubble. So you have to be congratulated on your timing. But it also has to give you some sense of how bubbles work.
Sure.
You see anything like that going on in technology right now?
Well, bubbles, you can look at bubbles two ways, right? Bubbles as they impact the general population. You know, back in the tech bubble, in the internet bubble, you'd get into a cab and they're talking about internet stocks, you know, and about stocks that just went up 30 points in the day and how they made all this money. That's not happening now. What's happening with tech stocks up until this past week anyways, is that VCs were getting into big names because it looked good in their portfolio. And rather than individuals benefiting or getting hurt, it's the VCs that are playing their own game of bubble yes or bubble no. And what's happening now is, you know, if you're an original investor in Twitter, that was great because the next VC who came in paid a higher valuation, gave some money to the company, but gave most of it to the first investors, right, or to management. It didn't actually go into the company. Then the next level who came in, they gave some to the previous. It's almost like, it's more like a Ponzi scheme. It's almost like an old chain letter. You know, the old chain.
That was true somewhat in 98, 99, 2000,
well, but
wasn't it?
The difference is you weren't just cashing out a few folks. You know, you were giving money to you were going into a public stock market that's readily exchanged, right?
Yeah.
So you're buying stock in broadcast.com and you're buying from somebody on a regular market. Whereas with today's technology VC bubble, you're going to this company, and I'm not trying to pick on Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whoever, right? And they're saying, okay, our valuation just went up $2 billion, and you're going to give us $500 million. Half of it's going to go to the VCs that got in before you, so they can cash out, and half of it's going to go, and a quarter of it's going to go to management, and a quarter of it will go to the company. And so you're laddering your way in, and the new money's paying off the old money. But there's no outside stockholders that are really participating.
So where do you think the big entrepreneurial activities are right now?
You know, in technology, the entrepreneurial activities are huge because the opportunity, the chance for entrepreneurial opportunities are there because the cost of technology has dropped so significantly. You know, all you need is a laptop or a PC and an internet connection. You can pretty much do anything and create any type of company. The problem, as I mentioned earlier, is everybody's getting sued into oblivion. You know, companies large and small, you know.
Well, the little guy with the PC doesn't have to worry too much about.
Oh yeah, they trust me. Yeah, I mean, the minute they get on the radar, the minute they get any level of success, somebody's going to come and try to cut out their knees, because they're going to say, "Oh, I won't mention names, but we got sued in one of the businesses because they said that their software did scene detection exactly the same way that our product did." Now, we had no idea. We weren't using their technology, right? They're just saying that software that they had created did scene detection the same way we're doing it now. So we're violating their patent.
At some point, patents are important for innovation, right?
No.
No. I mean, what, you blow up the whole patent system?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't need it?
Don't need it.
It wasn't necessary for broadcast.com?
No. I mean, look, if patent litigation, I remember sitting down to fill out 2 patents, one for using IP addresses to discover location, and the other one was for distribution of video in a network, and thinking, what am I going to, what's the point? It's just costing me money. It doesn't matter, right? You know, if
you do it by getting there first and running a good
company. You do it by
company.
winning in your business, by executing your business plan. Ideas are easy. I mean, if patent litigation was at the same level today, or in the 80s as it was today, I mean, if you know the history of Microsoft, you know, they were competing with an operating system called CP/M by a company called Digital Research. Digital Research would have gotten patents and all their stuff, and there'd be no Microsoft. Michael Dell used to just knock off PCs. So what's changed?
I mean, the laws haven't changed that.
The litigation culture has changed. The culture is so completely different.
Too many people making money off of.
That's the whole business. There's jurisdiction in East Texas. That's all they do. You know, and so everybody and their brother is buying up patents that were worthless in the first place and then using them as leverage. It's gotten so bad now, Alan, that companies are buying patent troves or collections to act as nuclear deterrents to other big companies with their own patent collections. So, you know, someone just paid $4.5 billion for a patent of collections, just so in the event that Apple
mutually assured destruction. You come after us, we'll
come after you, and so nothing happens, because that's the way you don't get sued, because you know, this company knows that the other company is violating one of their patents somewhere, and so they'll return the favor. That's ridiculous. That's $4.5 billion that could be used for almost anything else.
Yeah. Let's talk about that Larry O'Brien trophy. You're spending a fair amount of time with that thing, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in love. My wife doesn't like it, but
can you drink out of it? Do you swim with it? Do you?
Is this a family show?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I've right after we won, I took it everywhere with me personally. Slept with it, took it to the bathroom. I wasn't letting go of that thing. Right now, it's literally sitting in my kitchen, so that on a counter, so that when I wake up in the morning to go, get breakfast, give it a little kiss, a little rub. But
you think, will that wear off in time, or?
I hope not. I really, really hope not. But the other thing that's fun with it is to take it to various places. I went and played basketball at my gym yesterday, and I've been promising the guys I play with that I'd bring the trophy. And so I took it to Lifetime Fitness in Dallas, and I was just going to show it to the basketball guys, and because you forget the impact and how important it was to the city of Dallas and in North Texas. The whole gym just stopped. Everybody just stopped, and they all came in and started taking turns, to take their picture and everything.
Touch it?
Oh, touch it. I let them do whatever they wanted. I didn't want to know that he was cheating on me. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it teaches you a lot about sports that as much as I think I own the Mavs, I don't. It's North Texas that owns the Mavericks and Mavs fans around the world. And, winning the championship was not only emotionally, draining and fulfilling for me, but I mean, it really picked up the spirits of all of North Texas. I mean, the most amazing thing is that people don't